This is Sunday morning. You are listening to live streaming with taoshobuddha. We are coming to you via Facebook streaming, YouTube streaming, and also via Skype online. Each one of you is welcomed to this live streaming. Sutras of Vigyan, Bhairav, Tantra. The Sutra 8. First 4 sutras were breath oriented. The next 5, starting from 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, these are based on attentiveness. Sutra 5 was given to Pythagoras and he used that one. Tantra is the science of knowing about the subtle things about human existence. The Sutra 8, there is slight variation in all the techniques. This one, there is only 3 words are added to one existing one, which I will explain as we go on. First, the sutra, with utmost devotion, center on 2 junctions of breath and know the knower. What are the 2 junctions of breath? The passage, if I put it this way, breath is a taxi that plies between 2 stations, 2 destinations. One is nostril, the other is solar plexus. Between these 2 stations, between these 2 centers, it moves. When, let's say, it is beginning from nostril, it reaches solar plexus, a junction comes in when it takes a turn to go back to nostril. When it reaches the nostril, it again junction comes in, it takes a turn and comes back. With utmost devotion, center on 2 junctions of the breath and know the knower. There is a slight difference in the technique, slight modification. As happens with any process, when something is told, the teacher is telling the student, and as the process continues and the teacher observes a certain question marks, the unasked questions on the face of the student, he says, okay, do it this way. To make it easy for you, he realizes that this one is, there is a question mark coming on your face. Do it this way. So this is a slight modification, but though the difference are slight in the techniques, for you it may be a great difference. A single word makes a great difference. In an equation, in a chemical equation, a single word, whether it is organic equation or inorganic, it doesn't matter. A slight variation in the balancing, it makes a great difference. The three words that are added are with utmost devotion. Adding these two words, it continues, center on two junctions of the breath. Incoming breath has one junction when it turns. The outgoing breath has another junction when it turns. With these two turnings, and we have discussed these turnings, a slight difference is made. That is slight in the technique, but for the seeker it may be a great difference. What is added to it? With utmost devotion. And the whole technique becomes different. There are two centers. One is the center outside. One is the center within. Put it this way. You are working in an office, has a very important position. You have your setup or private office in your workplace, and you have a similar office, a private, in your home as well. So when you are, and the two are connected to one another, the laptop or the computer at your office at home and office at the office are connected. So there is no difference between the two offices. One is in your residence, the other is outside your residence. Sometimes you work from there, other times you work from here. But there is a connection between the two. So in the same way, breath is continuously moving between the nostril to solar plexus. When it reaches the solar plexus, it has come inside you. It activates the center within, that is the center of truth, your being, your existence. It activates that, it gives energy to that. Then it must turn to go back. Something like this, you ask someone to bring something. For instance, let's say there is a construction work going on. Bricks had to be brought from where they are placed to the place where they are to be used, or tiles or anything else. So the breath goes out, brings the life force, the prana vayu, the elan vitae, the orgone with it, drops it in the solar plexus, takes a turn, that's a junction, goes out. This center, the solar plexus, is center within. And when it goes out, it collects from there again and starts its inward journey. A junction is there. So it connects these two centers, the inner and the outer. So I am not talking about the inner and outer center in this technique. In this technique, at these two junctions with utmost devotion, center. If you are not, your electricity is connected to the power supply line that runs from the government or the electric company, if there is a breakdown in that, your house will be in dark. So the current continuously flows in, comes in your main box, from there it is distributed. So in the same way, the life force, the current comes to your solar plexus, the main place, the being, and from there it is distributed to all parts of the body. I have given you a scientific bent of mind for a scientific approach. If you are not of scientific bent or of scientific attitude, you do not have a scientific mind, then try it with utmost devotion. The word utmost devotion is added for those who are not scientific minded, who do not have a scientific attitude or approach. I have given you a scientific approach here. Then with faith, love and trust, center on the two junctions of breath and know the knower. How to do it? How? You can have devotion about someone, about Krishna, about Christ, about Holy Prophet. You can have devotion. But how can you have devotion about yourself? How can you have devotion about this junction of breathing? The phenomena seems to be absolutely non-devotional. But that depends. Tantra says your body is the temple. Your body is the temple of the divine, the abode of the divine. Never treat it as an object. It is sacred. It is holy. And while you are taking a breath in, it is not only you who is taking breath, it is the divine within you. You are eating, you are moving or walking. Took it in this way. Look at it in this way. It is not you. It is the divine moving in you. Scientifically too, when you look at it here, what comes with the air? The air is coming from outside. And along with the air, the orgone or pranavayu or elanvaite or life force is coming in you. What is this life force? The one that gives you life. And who else can give you life but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or God or existence? Then the whole thing becomes absolutely devotional. The food that is coming in you, you are taking in, it is cooked with devotion. That let the food that I am cooking be the medicine. Nourish and nurture your body. It is cooked in that spirit. It is cooked with that understanding, using the ingredients that are required for the sustenance of the body and maintaining its optimal function. And it is taken in that spirit of joy and happiness. The whole perspective changes. You can do it scientifically, with a scientific mind, what it is needed. There are 70 trillion cells in the body. Each cell, for its proper functioning, needs a good quality of the oil, lubrication, where the lubrication comes from. Then it requires the nutrients, it requires roughage, it requires protein, it requires carbohydrate, it requires the fresh vegetables and fruits, it requires liquid. Every fruit has sugar content. Should additional sugar be taken? Then herbs and spices. A scientific mind will understand this and blend together as part of the food. Hindus have given a very important message. The time before Diwali, 9 days, it is known as winter solstice. The weather is changing. During this time, the immune system is very weak. In order to, how can you improve upon immune system? By regulating your diets, your way of eating. So then there is Navaratri Puja. Navaratri, Nav means 9, Ratri means night. And these Navaratri period, 9 forms of energy are worshipped. Or if you do not want to use the worshipped, we try to understand those things. It is very difficult to understand something which is subtle. There is no need to criticize or condemn anything. Life moves in a particular way. For instance, you look at the book of the children. The letters are very big. They are colorful. Alphabet alone. With every letter A, there is an image which helps the child to identify. Image is very colorful. If the image is not colorful, the child will not understand the alphabet and he will not create the interest. He will not be interested in. As the time goes on, the color changes to black and white and all the images vanish. What does this image represent? We say the murtis, the idols. A child needs the images to connect the alphabet letter A or Z to something tangible, something that he can identify with. He identifies with apple, he knows apple, then he learns. But as time goes on, he doesn't need that. So these 9 forms of energy were given the embodiment of, they were embodied in the form of female, because whenever you have to do something, it has to be a feminine approach, not a masculine. So that is why they were given the feminine approach, and each form of this feminine energy represents a particular herb or a spice that grows on the Himalayan mountain, and it is helpful in maintaining the human body. So it is said during the first day you fast, and you fast with this ingredient alone. For instance, buckwheat flour. Buckwheat is not a grain like the wheat, it is a seed. Water chestnut, the amaranth, these are the three flowers that are suggested during that time because they have nutritional value. Basically, we use wheat flour for making the flat bread, whether it is without wheat germ and the roughage, or it is a whole wheat flour. During winter time, the body needs extra heat. So in Kashmir, all the dishes are prepared a little more spicy and mustard oil is used in cooking. Grains like Bengal gram, the brown chana, chickpeas, its flour is used during winter. It provides the extra heat to the body that is needed to sustain the cold. Flours like finger millet, and sorghum, they are considered to be coarse, but they are gluten-free flours. Your food must have certain gluten-free flours as well. If you create a balance between the gluten-free flours and the regular flour, the body maintains its health level. So American Bakers Association has insisted that the bakery must use sorghum flour. When we were growing, we used to say that we are rich, we are not poor people, but the sorghum and millet, they are poor man's flour, a gluten-free. And now it is said it has a very hot tendency, warm tendency. It provides the extra energy to the body. So it is taken the flat bread made out of millet flour. It is eaten fresh, hot, and some people like to use it with, we accustomed using it with clarified butter and jaggery. Jaggery is the much purer form of sugar because it is not processed. So during this 9 days period, each day you eat a different ingredient. So the two aspects are either you learn or do things with a scientific mind or devotional mind. If your consciousness is not grown, then you have to use the devotional mind. If consciousness has grown, or consciousness has attained maturity, then you can use the scientific mind. I am giving you the two approaches. Devotional mind, this is Kushmanda Devi. And for her fasting, we need to eat these things. We need to eat. Now, between potato and sweet potato, both are used during fasting. It is not like a rich things you eat and then during that time the nutritionally dense dry fruits are used, almonds, cashew nuts, raisins. So sweet potato and addos are rich in, and then the other things, the root vegetables, they are rich in calories. The sugar is time released, not like a potato which is empty calorie. So you use that You are taking additional energy scientifically. But devotionally, out of pure devotion, that for Kushmanda Devi breath, fasting, you have to eat these things. So for 9 days, you built up your immune system by observing the fasting, eating as the nutritional food, not all kind of junks. You are hungry, you take a donut and a coffee. Both of them are empty calories. And the fat that is used to fry the donuts is of a poor quality. So it is said that if you are eating, you use the clarified butter. This is the purest form. The milk, this is the ultimate. After ghee, clarified butter, nothing else can be made out of that. From milk, you can make cottage cheese, you can make the cheese, you can make butter, you can make clarified butter, you can make yogurt, but from clarified butter, you cannot make anything else. This is the final, the ultimate stage. So these things are important. So during the winter, now you prepare all the other, like for instance the ants, they prepare for the winter season, they disappear, they have collected enough grains into their the hives, and they disappear for the winter period. But we are not. We have to continue. You are given the understanding to live your life healthy or unhealthy. So everything was connected with the religion. The religion became the way of life. How you live your life, this is what Tantra is, the way of living life in a healthy manner. When I was growing and these things used to happen, I will question and ask my grandmother. She will say that you ask too many questions. But she never stopped me from answering, because it was necessary that when I am speaking to someone, my approach is not purely devotional. Blending the devotion and the scientific approach simultaneously. So you cannot run away from me. You ask, you want a devotional aspect, I will tell you the devotional, scientific as well. So try it. While you are eating, try it. Do not think of you who is eating. It is the divine that is eating, and divine is eating divine. Because the food is divine, the one who is eating is the divine. Think that it is the divine in you who is eating, and you will see the difference. And what you are eating is consciousness. The Hindus have given a very simple, a very important message, Annam Brahmam. The food is consciousness. A very scientific food is consciousness, because it carries that element of sustaining and nourishing you. You are eating the same thing, you are the same, but immediately everything becomes different. You are giving food to the divine. You can do it to yourself rather than offering it to someone else. You are taking a bath, a very ordinary, trivial act, but change the attitude. Feel that you are giving bath to the divine in you. Then this technique will be easy. And with utmost devotion, center on the two junctions of breath and know the knower. Look at it this way. If you look at it scientifically or medically, there are 2 times during the year when the immune system becomes weak. One is the beginning of the winter season. The other is when the winter season is coming to an end and spring comes in. Those are the 2 times when the Hindus connected it to the devotion that is Navratri Puja, the winter and autumn. This is about the Sutra 8. I will not go into the 9th, which is a very important sutra and the last in the series of the techniques based on attentiveness. So with utmost devotion, center on the 2 junctions of breath and know the knower. What is very important, that whatsoever you do, you just keep this in mind, that it is the divine in you who you are nourishing. I do not recall who was the one of the mystic who used to say, it was Kabir. I went to the market, I met Ram. Ram said to Ram, so constant remembrance. If you have to nourish, provide the meals or the food for a very important person, maybe your master, would you not take extra attention and extra care? Let your body, the temple, be nourished and nurtured. The spirit in you is the invisible God in you. Whatever be your devotion, if your devotion says it is Jesus, if your devotion says it is Holy Prophet or Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, or it is Krishna, you will take care of. Ramakrishna exhibited this. To him, the statue of Kali was alive for him. In a way it was good, but in a way it became an obstruction in his enlightenment. That's a different matter which I will not go into. So only this much for this morning. This 9th technique, I will take it in tomorrow's session. Until then, take care and do have a pleasant day.